Stan Freberg, I hope you enjoyed that. Stan Freberg was a very funny guy and also not afraid to use his real last name. But, here's the overall concept. The overall concept is that effective radio can be like theater of the mind. You can create images with the words you use. You can use music. There are things to do within your radio creative to compensate for the lack of a visual. So if you're ever managing a radio campaign when you're VP marketing at some wonderful big company, you want to challenge your ad agency to try to do theater of the mind, make the words work as hard as they can to make an image. These are the major radio players. iHeartRadio is the biggest. Intercom's big. Sirius, of course, online, and Spotify online are also big players. Advantages and disadvantages of radio advertising. You saw the CPM was low. You can have a disc jockey read the ad, which is like an implied endorsement. You can run long ads. You can make per inquiry arrangements. That's where you're paying per order. You don't pay for the media, which means actually that the radio station takes all the risk. And if they're desperate enough for the business, they'll do it. It's very flexible. You can send over copies sometimes in the morning and get it on that day. Of course, the disadvantage for direct response is there's no phone number you can look at, no web address you can look at. You've got to listen and get it. And they're smart. They repeat it a few times. Of course, there's no visual impact. And also, people are listening in drive time. And that means they can't exactly take a pencil and write down the phone number. Television. 71.1 billion, 2015. Cable is a big chunk of it, as you can see, and growing. Networks are also still a big chunk. Spot TV, which is just like spot radio, it's TV bought in a local market or a bunch of local markets, is the rest of the television advertising. And by the way, they get a lot of the political spending because, as a lot of you know, because of the electoral college system, certain states are swing states, and those states get the money in politics. And if you want to buy an individual state, you're going to buy the major markets in the state, and that's spot. And of course, in terms of the larger idea of video, you can see, in addition to the networks, that there are up-and-coming players with some very interesting programming listed right here. TV is bleeding into the internet. Each network and channel has a website. Most have a mobile presence. Content moves across devices from TV to desktop to mobile. An example of this, something that used to be called the CAB, Cable Advertising Bureau, which is on 3rd Avenue and I want to say 49th Street. I should know because we used to share offices with them, the company I was with. So I knew them, and they were a client of mine, and they had some offices to rent, and we took them. But they renamed themselves to be the Video Advertising Bureau just a few years ago. And there we go. Oh, by the way, and of course, TiVo is a factor. DVRs is a factor. And this idea of binge watching with all the programs coming out at once is another new factor. In terms of effectiveness, television is the most powerful and persuasive medium in history. Period. Over and out. Those are the networks. Cable, average subscriber, a few years ago had 180 channels. A lot of households, we pay for cable where it's bundled with internet. And cord cutting, however, is something of a phenomenon. In terms of spot TV, the networks themselves own lots of their own local stations, but there are other companies that own stations, like Hearst and Gannett and Sinclair Broadcasting and others own local stations that receive network programming. Just like radio, TV is sold by day part. And here are the television day parts. Prime time is the most expensive. And also like radio, TV ratings are measured, and the ratings are the basis for sales. Nielsen is still the ruler of television ratings. In the past, they would pick what they call Nielsen families, which they would pay some sort of minimal amount to keep journals of what they watched. And now Nielsen has meters on their sets, and they gather the viewing habits of the home. And then if different people are watching different things, and you don't quite know who in the family may be in front of the TV, there are people meters that help with that. Nielsen also, for a particular program, will add viewership up to 5 days to take account of the fact that players sometimes load all their programs at once, and you have all the time you want to look at it. So those are the basic kinds of programming, whatever, network TV, spot TV, cable networks. There's local cable, by the way. You can also buy local cable channels where you would go and you'd make a buy on Comcast to buy certain markets locally. By the way, there is another thing called syndication in terms of programming. And syndicated programming is created by independent companies and then sold to different local stations across the country. Oprah was syndication at one point, her TV show. So radio, Arbitron did the breakdown, but TV has slightly different markets called DMAs, designated market areas. And here are the key DMAs across the U.S. In terms of TV creative, it's pretty much all pre-recorded video. It differs by time length. Networks, if you put claims in your advertising about being better than someone else or whatever, you've got to submit proof to the network. And there's more and more time being devoted to ads, as you can see here. Now, in addition to just running regular ads, TV, you also have the possibility of getting product placement in a program, and you can sponsor a program. Here are some viewing trends among younger folks by device. And the light blue shows Q4 2015, and the darker blue shows a year later, Q4 2016. And what you see here is that viewership of videos on regular TV sets is declining. This is a general trend. It's going up on other options, whether they be PCs, tablets, or smartphones. Television is very good for DR. Very good for DR, where you can do anything from an infomercial to a shorter ad, but you can put your phone number or your website up there and hammer it pretty hard. And you can make pay-per-order deals, pay-per-inquiry deals with TV stations, but that's mostly going to be on the overnight. That's why sometimes if you have insomnia and you wake up and you turn on some TV channels, particularly some local TV channels, you'll see some beauty product or some long-form infomercial just airing and airing and airing, because that's all the only ones who want. Nobody wants to buy that time on a media basis because viewership is so low. But so the TV station will run a pay-per-order deal where they're only going to get paid if there are any orders generated, as opposed to having nothing airing. Might as well try to get something for Here are the major TV companies. NBC Universal, ABC Disney, CBS, Fox, which is owned by the News Corp, YouTube, and Hulu. And here are the cable operators, the big ones. And here are the biggest cable networks. So these are links to the trade associations. The first one is the Video Advertising Bureau. The second one is the Spot TV Association, the TVB. I encourage you to click on those links and visit those sites and poke around a little bit. Here are the most watched shows of the 2016-2017 season, and football kind of owns it. And anyway, and you can see as we move down, the numbers are in millions of viewers. And on we go. These are some of the Netflix, Amazon shows, and there is some viewership information for them too. And that's the source of it. Advantages for TV advertising, persuasiveness. I mean, you can see it here. High cost to produce ads is one of the problems. And now, the last traditional medium we're going to talk about is out of home. And before that, we're going to stop this and then start